Welcome. I would like to welcome you to yet another episode of the Unpopular Podcast. This is the man, the myth, the legend, Jalen Hunter. And if you would do me a favor, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm trying to reach 2,000 subscribers, so anything will help. But here's where we'll start. There are some sports where I completely understand why there's a single game elimination. Completely understand. Tennis, I get that. You know, two people going back and forth, mano a mano. I understand. Single game elimination. I get it. Football, whether it's college football, NFL, the physicality, you don't want to have that go to a series. I understand that. I understand the magnitude and the amount of teams in both college. And I get that. I get why football is a one-game elimination. So the WNBA playoffs have started, and I'm excited. I love basketball. I'm not just I think it's funny when people say they love basketball but only watch like college basketball, only watch the NBA. It's like you're not really a basketball fan, you're just a fan of whatever you're watching. You're just a fan of the NBA, you're just a fan of college. No, I'm a basketball fan, meaning I love watching all types of I love watching WNBA, I love watching the NBA, college basketball. I watch AAU, high school. I love basketball. And so you understand the excitement that the WNBA playoffs is here. But the same gripe that I have for the WNBA playoffs year after year after year is the same gripe that I have now. And that is this. These teams, right? The teams in the WNBA, teams in general, you play a whole season, a whole regular season, just to get to a playoffs where the first two rounds are single elimination games. It doesn't, so here you go. You can say it's due to revenue. You can say it's due to to money that they accumulate. You can say it's due to scheduling. I don't care what you say, because, and here's the thing, and I'm gonna move on from this, but here's the thing. Say you think it is money, right? Imagine if this was and I understand the final round is best of 5 instead of best of 7 like an NBA thing. I guess I understand, even though I don't understand why you can't just extend it to a best of 7 series. But I guess that's barking up a tree that just shouldn't be barked up. But so Thursday is the prime example why I absolutely hate the one game elimination in the playoffs for a basketball game, like for WNBA. So the Phoenix Mercury played, well, let me say, the first game was Chicago Sky and Dallas Liberty. That was an incredible game. Candace Parker was good. I think she had like 11 and 15. It was a good game. They were beating the hell out of Dallas, but Dallas came back. Abuna Wale, she was going crazy too. But at the end, the Chicago Sky won. So they're moving on to play the Minnesota Lynx on Sunday or tomorrow. But the next game is, like I said, the exact reason why I hate single game elimination. So the Phoenix Mercury played the New York Liberty, right? And this was an incredible game. Sabrina Nadescu was really good. She came up big in big moments. Sammy Whitcomb was big in big moments. Belijah Naney, she was crazy. She's had a really good last 2 or 3 seasons. She had 25 points last night. Brianna Turner was good with 12. Brittany Griner had 16 and 10. Skyler Diggins-Smith had 22. Sophie Cunningham had 21. But this is why I hate single game eliminations, right? This game was neck and neck throughout the entire game. In fact, the reason why the Phoenix Mercury advanced was because I believe Sophie Cunningham was fouled with 0.4 seconds left. The game was tied to 88 or whatever. And Sophie Cunningham was fouled went to the line, knocked down a free throw. They won the game. So because of that, the Phoenix Mercury goes on, and they will be playing, the Seattle Storm, and the New York Liberty goes home. I hate single game elimination so much because that is a hell of a way to end your season. These are the best athletes in the world when we talk about, female athletes. These are the best, or women athletes. I don't know if you're allowed to say female anymore. If not, I apologize. These are the best women athletes in the world, and you're telling me that they bust their ass the whole season to get eliminated because you you foul with 0.4 seconds left? I get the excitement, It was an exciting game to watch. I get the excitement. I get the blood rushing, the blood pumping. I get it. The feeling of any, one false move can get you out of here. I get that. But I also understand that these are professional athletes. And you're telling me that the New York Liberty, who had an incredible season, right? I understand they were the AFC, but they had an incredible season just to make it to the playoffs, just to get eliminated because of a 0.4 second foul. Again, this ain't college. This is not college. This is not football. This is not tennis. This is not soccer. There should be each round should be a series. Now, I hear people saying one is because of the scheduling, because a lot of women that play in the WNBA go straight from the playoffs overseas to play. So I hear that is due to the scheduling overseas and the fact that you're going to have a lot of women that can't play in the WNBA finals. Spoiler alert. I don't know if you know this, but a lot of the WNBA women wouldn't have to go play overseas if you paid them the money that they deserve. Now, I'm not saying that they should make as much money as NBA players. I'm not saying that. I understand the NBA draws more revenue in than the WNBA. But there are players in the NBA that are making, there are bench players that can't even see the light of day that's making over $1 million a year. When some of the best household names in the WNBA can barely scrape like $500,000. Now, I understand, talking to regular people like yourself and I, $500,000, $1 million is crazy money, but these are athletes that have to spend money to get their bodies in shape, to travel. Like their lifestyles are not our lifestyles. Now I understand, they just downgrade the lifestyle. Yeah, okay. Tell LeBron James stop putting $3 million in his body every year. Tell Russell Wilson stop putting $3 million in his body every year. Look, you can go have a 4 for 4. Like, come on now. So if it's talking about scheduling for the WNBA, why don't you pay them what they're worth? The WNBA has been on an uptick, right? Popularity, talent-wise, they've been on an uptick the last few years. So why should, and I understand that the payment, the money has gone up, but we're still not at a point where there should be no reason why women in the WNBA have to play hard as hell just to try to win a WNBA championship all season, practice day after day, play day after day, just to really not have an off season. A lot of women don't have a lot of the WNBA players don't have off seasons because they have to go play overseas. A lot of them don't want to, they just have to. And quiet as it's kept, a lot of them make more money overseas than over here, which is crazy. So you say scheduling, due to the overseas schedule, why don't you pay them what they're worth? Okay. You say, wait, nobody's going to watch a WNBA series, right? Nobody's going to watch a a 7-game series from the WNBA first round. Like I just said, there's been an uptick in the WNBA. Popularity is at an all-time high. Shouts out to Highlight Her. Shouts out to a lot of the women, Takira Carter. There have been there's an uptick in WNBA popularity. The way it's covered, the way that we see it. Hell, we just saw Team USA going against the WNBA All-Stars, and that was one of the most highly rated games, at least viewer-wise, the league has had in over, 20 years or something like that. You have, was the President's Cup. You don't know until you try it. Let me say that. You don't know until you try it. You can say that nobody's going to watch a 7-game series. Well, why don't you try it? Now, I understand you could say, well, we tried it before, or we tried it and it didn't work. Yeah, again, the popularity of the WNBA is at an all-time high right now. There are so many household names. Like I said, Skyler Diggins-Smith. Every team in the WNBA playoffs has a household name. Phoenix, Skyler Diggins-Smith. Brittany Griner. Diana Taurasi, who didn't play on Thursday due to an injury. The Liberty, Sabrina Nadescu, Blasia Laney. Chicago, we know who Candace Parker is. She's on the cover of 2K22, the women's edition. Shout out to her. Dallas, Agbunawale. Minnesota, Sylvia Fowles. Seattle, come on now. Sue Bird, Jewel Lloyd, Breonna Stewart. Connecticut, Jaquel Jones, DeWanna Bonner. The Aces, Aja Wilson, who won the MVP last year. Liz Cambage. What I'm saying is this. You can't tell me that, no one's going to watch, because people are going to watch. If there's sports, people are going to watch. One thing that we've learned from this whole pandemic that we're trying to get out of is that people are going to watch sports. People, that's one thing that you heard a lot during the pandemic. Basketball wasn't here. Football, they didn't know what they were going to do. Baseball wasn't here. It's like people were clamoring for sports. People are going to watch sports, man. So I say all that to say, man, we need as consumers, the WNBA as a product needs to find a better. I get the excitement at the moment. I get the college feel. But hell, even the play-in games in the NBA are not single game elimination unless you're the 10th seed or 8th seed or 9th seed or something like 10th seed. Hey, you're the lower seed. It is what it is. But this one game elimination thing, because there should be no reason why the New York Liberty's season ended the way that it ended. Yeah, I understand that you fouled, cool. But there should be no reason why we can't get a there's 4 rounds. Round 1, round 2 semifinals in the NBA or WNBA finals. You're telling me now, if you say it's nutrition or if you say the women can't do it, I don't believe that. I've seen these women play some incredible basketball. And you telling me you can't take a day or two off and then come back and play? Come on now, don't do that. We watched them do a whole season. You cannot tell me that they can't do a series. Now, if they've come out and said, "Hey, we don't want to do a series," then hey, I'll come on here. I'll shut up. I'll say I was wrong. Cool. But I don't remember them ever saying that. And especially if there's more games, that mean there's more money. Make it happen, man. Because this single game elimination thing is stupid. I understand the excitement. It was exciting watching the game. It was exciting watching Dallas. Dallas make an epic comeback. They lost, but make an epic comeback against the Sky because they were getting destroyed by Chicago. But they came back within. I think they were within 3 or 5 points. They were down 22 or something, and then came all the way back. That was exciting to watch. It was exciting to watch the Mercury and Liberty go back and forth. Benasia Laney going crazy with 25 points. Skyler Diggins matching point for point. Finishing with 22. Like, that was exciting to see. But then it was like, wait, one of these teams are their seasons are done? It doesn't, I don't like that. But moving forward, I guess talking about this, since this is what we have, who do I think is going to win? A lot of people saying that it's pretty much a collision course between Connecticut and the Aces. And I'm not one to say they're wrong. But I will say this, and this is why, now I think it's a lot of pretty cliche when it was like anyone has a chance to win when we talk about like NFL or NBA or something, because there's no way, like if you look at the NBA schedule, like NBA playoffs last year, there was no way, in my opinion, that the Heat had a chance to beat the Bucks. Yeah, the Brooklyn Nets could have won, or the Bucks, who did ultimately win, could have won, or Philly could have won, but the whole anyone can win, that's BS. No. What I do like about the WNBA, especially this year's playoffs, is I do think that everyone has a chance to win. And I say that because if you look at the matchups right now, at least after round one, I can see Sylvia Fowles is a future Hall of Famer who's one of the best WNBA players we've ever seen. Dangerfield, who, even though she's short in stature, she can shoot the mess out the ball. Like, the Minnesota Lynx have a chance to make a move. The Chicago Sky. You have Candace Parker. Not only and Candace Parker been going crazy. You have Lexi Brown, like Diamond DeShields, who probably has the best swag in the league. It's just everyone has a chance. If you look over, you have the Seattle Storm, which is fourth. They're ranked fourth in the playoffs brackets or whatever. And they have Breanna Stewart, who is arguably the best WNBA player today. Jewel Lloyd, who I think she had like 35 or something like that the other day. Sue Bird, who was legendary. Phoenix Mercury, again, you have the big three: Skyler Diggins-Smith. You have Diana Taurasi. Now she needs to get back from injury, but you have Diana Taurasi. You have Brittany Griner, and then of course Connecticut. You have who will probably be the MVP in Jaquil Jones. You have DeWanna Bonner, who I think is the WNBA version of KD, with her body frame and the fact that she can just light it up. And then the Vegas Aces, to me, have probably been one of the more complete teams in the whole. But you kind of expect that they've been pretty much the complete team. You have Asia Wilson, Liz Cambage, Chelsea Gray has been incredible. Angel McCoughtry, who came in the middle of the season after coming back from injury. Kelsey Plum, who just won the 3-on-3 3-on-3 overseas tournament. They got pieces, man. Jackie Young. So I'm gonna go with the Vegas Aces. I'm gonna go with the Vegas Aces because they're kind of peaking at the right time. They were peaking coming into the season, or coming into. I mean, let me say this: the beginning of the season was kind of iffy. Of course, Liz Cambage, she was coming. I think she had in the middle of the season, or before the stoppage, the whole COVID. I don't think she had COVID, but she didn't want to go overseas due to the COVID and that whole debacle with Australia. Kelsey Plum was not playing well, but she was coming off of an injury, and of course the whole stoppage due to Olympic stoppages or whatever they call it. But going into the playoffs, they're fire, they're clicking, in my opinion. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if I'll say this: I will give three teams. If these three teams won, I wouldn't be surprised. Now, I think everyone has a chance to win, but Seattle, I mean, reigning champions, even though they're fourth, they're the reigning champions. You have the best player in basketball, in my opinion, in Breonna Stewart when she is hooping. Connecticut, they're the number 1 overall seed. They've been killing. Jaquel Jones more than likely will win the WNBA MVP. DeWanna Bonner, that's a team. Not to mention that's a great 3-point shooting team as well as the Chicago Sky. But I think that because you have Las Vegas Aces, they're firing all cylinders. Aja Wilson has had yet another incredible year. I'm gonna give it to the Las Vegas Aces. I just think that they have all they're firing on all cylinders right now, and I think that they could lose, but I just think that they're peaked at the right time, right before the playoffs and going into it. Not to mention they don't have to play; they're going to be fresh. Now that could be a backfire, as far as they don't play until the semifinals because they were awarded two round byes because they were the second seed. They don't play until the semifinals, which is the best of 5 series. Now, that could work. There's pros and cons. There's advantages and disadvantages to both. The advantage is, of course, you're fresh. You don't even have to play nobody. All you have to do is hone in on whoever you got to hone in for 3 games. You're good. Like you ain't got to worry about nutrition because you're fresh. On top, but the disadvantage is you're playing a team that could very well. I mean, say they could play the Minnesota Lynx. They could play whoever wins in the higher seed in round 2, they'll play. So they could very well play a team that just did a single elimination in round 1, just did a single elimination in round 2, and now playing them, and now they're hot. They have all the momentum. They could be playing a team in, I don't know, Seattle or something, where they come down. They just were in a single game elimination. They have a game under their belt. They're more like, let's get it. And then they end up, they have the momentum. So it's a advantage and disadvantage for both. I'm excited to watch. I love basketball. So, people that say they love basketball but only watch the NBA or college basketball, I don't really think you love basketball. I think you love the NBA or love college basketball, but I love it all. So I'm excited to see what happens in the WNBA, man. I'm excited. This is the playoffs. So hey, let's get it. Let's get it. I think the round 2 starts tomorrow. The first game is Seattle and Phoenix. I think that's at 3:00 on ABC. And the Minnesota Lynx and Chicago Sky, that's at 5:00 on ESPN2. So I'm excited. Moving forward, watching Sam Darnold, we're going to flip over to the NFL. Watching Sam Darnold play for the Carolina Panthers really makes me feel even worse for Zach Wilson. And it's not just the fact that Zach Wilson is now playing for the team that Sam Darnold used to play for, which is the New York Jets. It's the fact that, and I've said this multiple times, but this is a clear indication. Or this is pretty much proving my point, right? Fit is so important. There's only been a handful of people, especially at the quarterback position. There's only or lottery picks or whatever you want to call them. The first 10 picks in the NFL. There's only a few players that have been able to go to a team, and this is in the history of the NFL. There's only a few players that's been able to go to a team right away, especially at the quarterback position, and change the team instantly. I mean, Dan Marino is Joe Montana. The last person I can remember is probably probably Andrew Luck. And then probably before that was probably Peyton Manning. Now, that doesn't say that. Now, listen to the people I just said. Dan Marino, Hall of Famer. Joe Montana, Hall of Famer. Peyton Manning, Hall of Famer. You can probably say Eli Manning a little bit, Hall of Famer. or a future Hall of Famer for Eli. Andrew Luck, if he would have continued to play, more than likely Hall of Famer. These are all world talents. And that's no offense to people like, Deshaun Watson, people like Lamar Jackson. No, let's look at those people, by the way. Okay, Deshaun Watson probably is an outlier. Let's not say. Let's look at some of the greats now, right? Lamar Jackson was picked like 30th. Sat behind Joe Flacco until his time was ready. Boom. Exploded. Now Lamar Jackson's Lamar Jackson. Patrick Mahomes. Nobody thought that Patrick Mahomes was going to be what Patrick Mahomes is today playing at Texas Tech. Hell, the Chiefs didn't even think that because he sat behind Alex Smith for a minute until, it was his time. Alex Smith went out. Patrick Mahomes went in. That's all she wrote. Hell, this is the 20th year 20-year anniversary of Tom Brady finally starting over Drew Bledsoe. Now, Drew Bledsoe was a really good quarterback for the New England Patriots, but he got hurt. Bill Belichick, all right, we'll start Tom Brady. That's all she wrote. Fit matters so much. It's very rare that a player can come in right away and just instantly change a bad culture. It's damn near impossible because there's so many elements. Hell, even Aaron Rodgers had to sit behind Brett Favre. Drew Brees didn't work in the Chargers, didn't work in San Diego, and the San Diego Chargers didn't even want him no more. Because he failed a physical or something, they sent him to the Saints, and that's all she wrote. It's very rare that any player changes the dynamic of an organization. Fit matters, man. You're hearing that a lot this week. Talking about Zach Wilson, talking about Trevor Lawrence, talking about Justin Fields, who we'll get to in a second. And let me bring it back to Thursday Night Football. Watching, I think a lot of people come at me when I give my Sam Darnold takes, because I think a lot of people are hearing me say that Sam Darnold is like a top 10 quarterback, or is like a great quarterback just in a bad position. I never said. I think the misconception is people think that I feel that Sam Darnold is Patrick Mahomes. He just played for a trash team, which is the Jets. I said the Nets. The Jets. Let me be the first one to tell you, I don't think that way. That is the furthest from the truth. I will say this, though. Not all talent evaluators and scouts are wrong. Coming out of college, of course, there were some problems with Sam Darnold. Some of his decision making, some of his interception. He had some problems. Everyone has problems coming into the NBA. I mean, NFL. As far as you're not exactly just a Hall of Famer coming in. We know that. It's very rare, especially at the quarterback position. But you don't get drafted that high and look that bad and think to themselves, there should be no way he was drafted that high. He is beyond awful. Talent, scouts evaluate, they're not that off. This isn't like an Anthony Bennett type situation, right? All I was saying is this. Sam Darnold doesn't look this bad. He's not this bad. A lot of this is the organization. The Jets couldn't get his offensive line right, which, by the way, if you really look at it, they couldn't get Sam Darnold's offensive line right. Zach Wilson has a terrible offensive line. Now, the Panthers, especially on Thursday, their offensive line wasn't that good, but their offensive line was 10 times better than what the hell Zach Wilson's playing behind. I digress. They couldn't get the running back position right. They thought that Frank Gore, at his old age, was a quality starting running back. At this point of his, not saying that he's probably going to go as a Hall of Famer, but towards the end of his career, no. Zach Wilson. I can't even tell you who the running back is for the Jets. The Jets could never get the wide receiver position right for Sam Darnold. Jamison Crowder, who is in and out the lineup because he's always hurt. All I was saying was fit matters in the NFL, man. And that is even more apparent now when you look at Sam Darnold and the Panthers. Now, the Panthers are 3-0. Now, I'm not saying that they're world beaters. I'm not saying that they're going to win the Super Bowl. I think that they've had a very favorable schedule. I will say that. I think that their schedule has definitely been favorable for them to have a 3-0 record. But even looking at the situation that Sam Darnold's in today than he was with the Jets is night and day. The Jets may go, even with Robert Saleh and the new coaching staff, with Zach Wilson, the Jets may go 0-17. They're still the NFL. I don't think they will, and I don't wish that upon anyone to not win a game. But the Jets may go 0-17. And the Jets look awful. Like awful. Now, a lot of the problems that this hasn't lost me either. A lot of the problems that Zach Wilson is showing in the NFL, he did have problems in the NFL, in college football as far as his high turnover rate. Like I get that. But in the NFL, like you got to help him out. He is running for his life every play. Like you saw that little kid, the little kid that was breaking down the film for the Jets, and look how bad their offensive line looked. It was bad. Fit matters. Look at some of the perfect fits, or look at some of the quarterbacks that we recently, that we recently tout as great quarterbacks, and what they were drafted to or what they ended up in. Hell, it's not just Sam Darnold. Look at Ryan Tannehill. That's another perfect example. People thought Ryan Tannehill was god awful, and he was very bad for the Dolphins. He goes to Tennessee. He's statistically one of the better quarterbacks in the league. With a new head coach, with a better offensive line, with better pieces around them. Again, and I say this all the time, the NFL, you can't just go out there and win by yourself. This ain't the NBA. Steph Curry can give you 50 wins by himself. Kevin Durant can give you 50 wins by himself. Kyrie can give you 50 wins by himself. LeBron James can give you 50 wins by themselves. Luka can give you 50 wins by himself. Not saying that, what I'm saying is he can be the deciding factor of a game. If the Chicago Bulls is going against the Golden State Warriors, perfectly healthy Golden State Warriors, 9 times out of 10, Golden State's probably going to win that game because they're healthy and they have the best player, which is Steph Curry, best player on the floor. That's not like that with the NFL. Hell, look at last year. Aaron Rodgers won the MVP, meaning he was the best player that season. He didn't even make it to the Super Bowl. Derrick Henry was the offensive player of the year, rushed for 2,000 yards. Didn't even make it past the Baltimore Ravens out the first round. Or was it the wild card? I think it was the wild card. Man, I say all that to say, I say all that to say that I enjoy watching Sam Darnold thrive for the Panthers. It was a tough game on Thursday too, man. They lost J.C. Horn, I think, with a broken foot. So I hope that he recovers. He was a promising rookie. I think I think he was like the third or fourth overall pick for the Panthers. I know he was the first defensive player off the board, I believe. So I hope that he gets back healthy. I know that Christian McCaffrey, their all pro or all worldly running back, he is out for a couple weeks with a hamstring injury. DJ Moore went out with an injury, so I just hope that they get better. I don't, and even with them healthy, I don't think that they're. I think that they could go to the playoffs, but I don't think that they're any hope of winning a championship. But that doesn't mean I don't want to see players hurt. You know what I mean? So I hope that J.C. Horn, Chris McCaffrey, DJ Moore, I hope that they're all healthy. But the biggest story out of it is Sam Darnold has looked good. I think through three games, he has like the second most rushing yards and passing yards in the league or something like that. I think he's like second in rushing yards. It was like 888 or something like that. Or that's how many total yards he has or something like that. I know it's a crazy stat that he would not have if he was with the Jets, who, by the way, are 0-3 and look horrible. And more than likely will be going 0-3 because they're going against the Broncos. So shouts out to the Panthers for beating the Texans 24-9. And it's this again. I'm not saying that Sam Darnold is supposed to turn into Eli Manning or supposed to turn into Patrick Mahomes because he leaves the Jets and goes to Carolina. All I'm saying, I wasn't saying, but what I'm saying is, he's not as bad as what was displayed. Is he a top 10 quarterback? No. Is he a top 20 quarterback? I don't think so. I don't know. But I know that he is. You put him in the right situation. You put almost any. Now, I'm not saying all of them, but you put almost any quarterback in the right situation, they will flourish. Now, again, it's not everyone, because there have been people that have been in the right situation that haven't worked. But Sam Darnold, in my opinion, is one of those people that you're putting in the right situation, which is Carolina. Get a great coach in or a good coach in Matt Rule. It's not that good, but a better offensive line than he had with the Jets. A better receiver core when you have Robbie Anderson, when you have DJ Moore, than he had with the Jets. A better running game than he had with the Jets. A better front office than he had with the Jets. And you see him flourishing. Again, I know they're 3-0, and I know they haven't played the most talented teams. But you can't tell me Sam Darnold has not looked good this year. And this just so happened to be the first year he's on a different system, on another team than the Jets. And it's not just the Jets. Don't get me wrong. It's not just the Jets. I feel bad for Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence could be one of those stars that just is better than the team's obscurity. You know what I mean? Like better than the team's misfortunes. He could be. It's not looking like it, but he could be. Now, again, it's fit. Also understand, Urban Myers is their coach. And a lot of reports are saying he has 1 foot in the NFL, 1 foot out after the first, 2-3 games. I get that. But come on, man. Shouts out to Sam Darnold. And I wish nothing but the best for Zach Wilson. And shouts out to the Panthers for beating the Houston Texans on Thursday Night Football 24-9. So, moving forward. Now, it's time, week 3 in the NFL. It's time for me to predict every game. Let's start with the most I'm not gonna say the most interesting, but let me start with the Bears and the Browns. Matt Nagy is. I understand loyalty, quote unquote, in sports, even though I'm one of the biggest proponents in there is no loyalty in sports. I understand that. And I understand trying to make your players happy, or you say something and you make a proclamation and you're trying to keep that, you're trying to keep your word. But it's starting to get a little weird. So Justin Fields, due to Andy Dalton getting hurt, Justin Fields will be starting this week against the Browns. First career NFL start as far as in the regular season. He will be starting for the Browns. I mean for the Bears. And I understand that it's tough going from the veteran to the rookie and then probably back to the veteran. You really don't see that, especially when the rookie is drafted as high as Justin Fields was drafted. And a lot of people think that Justin Fields is the heir apparent, or Justin Fields is the next franchise, or is the Bears franchise quarterback moving forward. Most people think that. Hell, Andy Dalton thinks that. But what I don't understand is Matt Nagy's his willingness to continue to go out and say that we're sticking with Andy Dalton when he's healthy. I heard Peter King, shouts out to Peter King. I heard Peter King say, we need to back off of Matt Nagy because this is the same thing that Andy Reid did with Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes. Like, how a lot of people were saying, hey, you have this Patrick Mahomes kid. He could play, but you still have Alex Smith. People are saying we didn't kill Andy Dalton. I mean, we didn't kill Andy Reid, so we shouldn't be killing Matt Nagy. My thing is, I don't think Justin Fields is Patrick Mahomes. I can go on a limb and say Justin Fields is not Patrick Mahomes. I can also go on a limb and say this is a different. How do I? Did you see on Sunday when Andy Dalton went out and how the team just looked rejuvenated with Justin Fields? Now, I'm not saying that Justin Fields was without mistake, but you see how they just felt rejuvenated. Now, I'm not here saying that the team wanted Andy Dalton to get hurt or wanted Andy Dalton to be out. I'm not saying that. But did you just see how different and how rejuvenized especially the defense looked playing with Andy Dalton? I mean, playing with Justin Fields compared to playing with Andy Dalton? Now, I understand as a coach, the questions come in, hey, now that Justin Fields is starting due to the injury of Andy Dalton, what happens when Andy Dalton comes back? I get you say, hey, you don't lose your spot to injury. It's the NFL. We'll see how it is. But to continuously keep sticking your neck out for Andy Dalton when you have a player in Justin Fields who a lot of people, including people inside the organization, feel is the franchise quarterback. It's like, I don't know. And then, again, I don't think Justin Fields is ready to just be an all-out, starting quarterback. I mean, this will be his first start. So I don't think that he is leaps and bounds better than Andy Dalton right now, just due to experience. However, what happens if he goes in and beats the Browns in Cleveland? Then what do you do? I don't think it's going to happen, but I do think it's going to be an interesting game. I think that the team is going to try to get Justin Fields their first win, especially against a team in the Browns that a lot of people think is good enough to make it to at least the AFC Championship with the roster configuration that they have now, and not to mention there's a lot of Jarvis Landry's not playing. We don't know if now they said that Odell Beckham Jr. is expected to play, but how is he going to play his first game back from injury? It's interesting. It's going to be a good game for me. I think it's going to be a game that I definitely will have my side eye on to see. All right, how is Justin Fields playing? How is the Browns or the Bears defense playing? How do the Browns look with Jarvis? Because Jarvis Landry is a big loss for the Browns. Jarvis Landry is like their safety net. Even though you have Nick Chubb, you have Kareem Hunt, Jarvis Landry, especially for the wide receiver position, is like their safety net. I don't know if almost every time they need a big play, for like a passing play, it goes to Jarvis Landry. I don't know if you noticed that or not. So I think that's a big loss, but I got the Browns winning that against the Bears, and I'm curious to see what is going to, especially after this week, if Justin Fields plays good. If Justin Fields plays bad, then it gives Matt Nagy a reason to say, hey, the kid's not ready. We're going to go with Andy Dalton. But what happens if he plays well? And it's like, why would you go back to Andy Dalton? You know what I mean? So, but I have the Browns beating the Bears. I just think that a lot of people still want to bash Baker Mayfield, and they didn't have a good showing last week against the Texans. So I think that they're going to come out a lot hungrier and trying to prove that last week, even though they did win, was more of an anomaly because they played horribly. And I think that the Browns are going to win. The Colts and the Titans. It looks, Carson, we talked about Carson Wentz last episode, but he has 2 sprained ankles. So I don't know what we're going to get from Carson Wentz. And I think, especially the second half of the Tennessee Titans and Seattle Seahawks game, I think that Tennessee kind of got on the right foot. You got Julio Jones back to at least looking like old Julio Jones. Derrick Henry looking like Derrick Henry. Ryan Tannehill looked really good. I think that the Tennessee Titans are back, and I think that the injury to Carson Wentz and of course the recklessness that we talked about last episode, it's kind of hard to be reckless with 2 sprained ankles. That's all I'm saying. So I got Tennessee Titan with that one. The Giants and the Falcons, man, someone got to win this game. Someone has to win this game. And now I talked about Matt Ryan last episode and how I was wrong. Matt Ryan has been a huge problem for the Falcons. There's been a lot of problems for the Falcons, and I was under the impression that Matt Ryan wasn't one of them. I was kind of like, Matt Ryan, everyone around him. So, no, the fact that you could now I understand the second one was tipped, but you threw 2 pick sixes. And you overthrowing players, underthrowing players, throwing them behind the back. It's a bad look. And the Giants should have won against, they had all the opportunity in the world to win against Washington. And I think that loss definitely left a bad taste in the mouth when you have Darius Slayton missing a wide open catch that would have, got him a touchdown, and they lost by 1. The missed kick that Washington had, but because of a penalty from Dexter Lawrence, they had to kick again, and then boom. So I just think, not to mention, I think even though it's crazy to say, Daniel Jones has been playing better, at least the last first 2 games. I've been playing better than Matt Ryan. I think, and I know, the Atlanta is in the running for the worst defense in the league this year. So I think that the Giants are at home. I think the Giants are going to beat the Falcons. The Chargers and the Chiefs. I think this is going to be an interesting game. I think the Chargers are catching the Chiefs at the wrong time because all we've been talking about this whole week was, is Lamar Jackson better than Patrick Mahomes? And Lamar Jackson finally slayed the dragon that is Patrick Mahomes. And, Patrick Mahomes, that bad turnover or bad interception, of course, Clyde Edwards-Helaire and the turnover that cost him the game. That's all they've been hearing all week. And I think, don't get me wrong, the Chargers are good, but the Chargers are still, they lost because of all the penalties that they caused, with the 2 taunting calls and the pass interferences and the offsides it was a litany. And the last thing you want to do, that was against the Cowboys and they almost won. The last thing you want to do is have all those mistakes against the Chiefs at Kansas City, and nah. So I have the Chiefs winning that game. I'm not going to say fairly easily, but I have the Chiefs winning. I think Justin Herbert's going to have a good game. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to have a great game. I just think that the Chargers are catching the Chiefs at the wrong time. I think the Chiefs, like I said, you've heard all week that, the Chiefs aren't the same Chiefs, even though, if you want to be honest with the Chiefs, the Chiefs' defense has been horrible, especially in the red zone. I think they've given up like 80% of the Chiefs are horrible in the red zone, and they were horrible last year in the red zone. The problem is, the thing is though, you have Patrick Mahomes who can neutralize any problem that you have because he's Patrick Mahomes. So I just think that even though that the Chiefs' defense is not, the greatest, and their offensive line is still kind of new, you still have Patrick Mahomes, and they just lost. So I have the Chiefs beating the Chargers. Steelers and Bengals, I think this is... I'm not going to go as far... the best unit on the field in general is the Steelers defense. Steelers defense is better than the Bengals offense, better than the Steelers offense, better than the Bengals defense. So because you have the best unit, I think that they're going to win the game. But I do think that they have to ball out or it's going to be a problem because, right now, Joe Burrow seems to be the better. Joe Burrow is the better quarterback than Big Ben right now. They're all this week they were talking about Ben Roethlisberger was dealing with a pec injury because he dropped something and picked it up wrong. So I think that the Steelers defense is going to be the better unit. And because of that, I got the Steelers winning, but I think this is going to be a lot closer than it's supposed to be because, the Bengals still, their offensive line is still horrible. Even though, Jamar Chase has looked good as a wide receiver. T. Higgins won't be playing. I think it says he's going to be out. So it's going to be Boyd, Mixon, and Chase Jamar Chase trying to pick up the slack, but that offensive line is horrible. And the last thing you want to do is put that offensive line going up against that defensive front. I have the Steelers winning, but this doesn't negate the fact that I think it's going to be a lot closer because of the limitations that the Steelers offense has, whether that's Big Ben not being able to throw the ball downfield, the offensive line being horrible. There's a reason why you have Najee Harris, and Najee Harris is not this bad. They're I think the worst or second worst rushing attack in the league so far. Najee Harris, even though he is a rookie, he's not that bad. That is just how bad the offensive line is. So, but I don't think that the Bengals offense or defense will be able to capitalize on that because I don't think that they're that good. So I have the Steelers winning that one. Ravens at Lions. I think this is going to be a better game than expected. However, the Ravens. Again, you're catching the Ravens at a bad time. Ravens had probably the biggest win, or Lamar Jackson had the biggest win of his career last week. The Ravens are firing on all cylinders. While he did miss practice on Thursday due to a stomach illness or something, he was back on Friday. That is Lamar Jackson. Devontae Freeman looked good. Murray looked good. We're gonna see what happens with Le'Veon Bell. The defenses look good. Hollywood Brown looks, at least the first 2 weeks, looking like he can be a receiver. Sammy Watkins looked all right. I just think the Ravens, especially that defense, even though the defense for the Ravens are all patched up and injured, Patrick Queen has looked good. Marlon Humphreys is still Marlon Humphreys. So and the Lions, we saw, even though they were going up and down the field the first half against the Packers, we saw what happened in the second half when the Packers defense kind of clamped down. It was like, yeah, we're not doing this. Like, we're not letting Jared Goff beat us. And even an unhealthy Ravens team, they still have a better defense than the Packers. So I have the Ravens beating the Lions. Saints and Patriots, I think that's going to be an interesting game. I think that we saw two completely different Saint teams. The first week against the Packers, they beat the Packers 38-3. That was the greatest look. That team looked like it was Super Bowl caliber. That team looked like the greatest team in NFL history. Jameis Winston looked like he was a Hall of Famer. That team looked incredible. Then we saw what they looked like a week later against the Panthers. That team looked god-awful. Jameis Winston looked like the usual Jameis Winston, minus the touchdowns. So we saw two different versions of the Saints. So I don't know what Saints we're going to get. If we get the Saints from week 1 or anywhere close to that, they could win. But if we get the Saints from week 2, I don't know. Now, they have been they have been on the road for the last 2 weeks, or this will be, the 2 weeks. So, or since the whole, hurricane and everything. So that could play a part. But even though you're going against Mac Jones, you're still going against the Patriots defense and Bill Belichick. And I think that, the best unit on the field, without Michael Thomas being healthy, is the Patriots defense. So I think it's going to be a good game, but I have the Patriots. I don't think Mac Jones is going to do anything to win them the game, but I don't think he's going to do anything to lose them the game. While we look at Jameis Winston can have week 1, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. Then he can have week 2. I don't think any touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 2 bad interceptions too. So I got the Patriots winning that one. Cardinals and Jags. It's the Jaguars and the Cardinals. One team is 2-0, has Kyler Murray, has Christian Kirk, has DeAndre Hopkins, has Rondé Moore, has J.J. Watt, has Chandler Jones. Other one has Trevor Lawrence. So I'm going to go with the Cardinals. The Bills in Washington. I think this game is going to be a lot closer than people think. I don't think the Bills offense has gotten rolling yet, even though I know it's hard to when you hear like they just destroyed the Dolphins, but I don't think the Bills offense have got rolling yet. I just think that it was a lot more bad Miami than it was good Buffalo. And I think Tyler Heinicke, while I'm not saying he is a world beater, I think that he, if not the same, like he can at least keep you afloat with that, with Washington's defense. And he, it will be his third start, so you don't really have a lot of film on him. So I think the Bills are going to win the game. I think it's going to be tough, especially the secondary of Washington, man. The secondary is going to have to find a way to stop, Stephon Diggs and Emmanuel Sanders. And they had a tough time doing, and it's the penalties as well. They had a tough time doing it against, they had a tough time doing it against, what's his name? Justin Herbert and Daniel Jones. Don't get it wrong. They beat they beat the Giants, but it was a lot the Giants mess ups than it was Washington's, greatness. So I think that the Bills are going to win this game, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think. I think, Washington's defense is going to be a lot better. I just think that it's going to come down to the quarterback, and I'm going to go with Josh Allen before I go with Tyler Heinicke. So I have the Bills beating Washington. Broncos and Jets. Again, the Broncos look like a really good team, even though they haven't played that good of a schedule the first few weeks. They have Teddy Bridgewater. Their defense looks incredible, and you're going against the Jets. So I have the Broncos winning that one. The Raiders and the Dolphins, I think that this is going to be a really good game because the Raiders is one of the greatest teams. Like John Gruden's Raiders, the last few years have been one of the best teams in September. Like they are, if a championship was or a Super Bowl was given out in September, the Raiders would be in the running every year. It's kind of like it's the opposite of the Patriots. The Patriots are good towards the towards the late end of the year, but they're not that good. I think Bill Belichick has like his worst month is September. John Gruden. John Gruden is just incredible in September, but then once the season starts going, it's like, I start slipping like mightily. So I think that you're catching the Rays at the right time. They're 2-0. They beat the Steelers and they beat the Ravens. And then you're going against a Dolphins team who got royally embarrassed last week against the Bills. So I think it's going to be a close game, but I think that because the injury to two is ribs, I'm going to go with Derek Carr. I think Derek Carr's look really good. I can't keep doubting Derek Carr because he every week after week he's come and week after week he's looked good. So out of the Raiders beating the Dolphins, the Seattle Seahawks and the Vikings. If you look at their the Seattle Seahawks is 1-1. The Vikings are 0-2. But the Vikings could very well be 2-0. I mean, it was a very missed kick and like a bad call for the first play. But I think that because of what happened to the Seahawks last week, losing in overtime to the Titans, I think they're going to be upset, and I think they're going to want to make a statement against the Vikings, not to mention you have Kirk Cousins against Russell Wilson. I'm going to bet with Russell Wilson every time. So I have the Seahawks winning that one. The next three games is the biggest games of the week. You have the Buccaneers and the Rams, both 2-0. I think if you look at their schedule, this is probably the toughest opponent that the Bucs play this entire year. And I think this game to me is a toss-up. Even though if you look at the rosters, of course, the Bucs, you bring back pretty much all your starters. The defense is great. And then, of course, I think this game, this game to me will depend on this is the first time I think Matthew Stafford will be called upon to win the game. I think the first two weeks he didn't really have to win the game. The defense was still good. The Bears, he didn't have to win the game. It's just the Bears defense just laid an egg. And last week it was a rocky start, but the defense held its own. I think this will be the first game that the Rams ask at Matthew Stafford to win the game, and we have to. And I want to see what he does. This, even though it's a 4:25 slate on Fox, it's still pretty much game of the week. And I want to see, these are two juggernauts. And I want to say juggernauts, I know it's early to crown the Rams a juggernaut, but a lot of people think that the Rams will be the team representing the NFC in the Super Bowl. So I want to see how both teams fare. I want to see how Tom Brady in that offensive line, which has been a little iffy the last, even though they've been pretty good last week, but been iffy the last few weeks. I want to see what they do against Aaron Donald in that defensive front. So I'm gonna go with the Bucs just because that defense is still incredible. Shaq Barrett, Levante David. I'm still gonna go with the Bucs, but I think that's gonna be a great game. Monday night or Sunday night football, you have the Packers at 49ers. I think that this is going to be a good game because it kind of reminds me of 2019. Now, it's not the same as 2019 because 2019, even though the teams, the Packers, seeing the Packers and 49ers on the schedule looked great, but no, I think both times that the Packers played the 49ers in 2019, 49ers almost ran like 500 yards in these people. I don't think it's going to be that. I do think that the 49ers have the better roster than the Packers. And, of course, the Packers are still, we don't know if they're back yet because their defense looked pretty bad, again, at least in the first half, against Jared Goff and the Lions. And we're not even going to talk about what happened against the Saints. So, and even though you have Zaire Alexander, who I think is their best defender, they also don't have their second best defender, which is Sindarius Smith. And I think that's going to be a big loss. But I think it's going to have to be a shootout. It's going to have. I think they're going to have to keep up with Aaron Rodgers in the scoring. And I don't know if Jimmy G or Trey Lance can do that. So I'm going to have the Packers win, but I think it's going to be a shootout. I think, and that's the only way the Packers can win, in my opinion. This can't be no defensive, because I think the 49ers defense and offense is a lot. Is just too tough for it to be a defensive stronghold. So I have the Packers beating the 49ers. And you have Monday Night Football, Eagles at Cowboys. I don't know. I don't think this game is going to be as close. I think the Cowboys, coming off a win against the Chargers, even though I think they should have won. I mean, should have lost. But the Eagles, again, it kind of goes back to the Saints. You got the week 1 Eagles looked like they could be Super Bowl contenders going against the Falcons. Then they just got they lost 17-11 last week against the 49ers. So yeah, I don't really, and they didn't really look that good at all. That is the Eagles last week. So I just think the Cowboys are going to win. I think the Cowboys are a better team. And it really comes down to Jalen Hurts against Dak Prescott. And I think Dak Prescott is better than Jalen Hurts. So that's what I'm gonna go with. But those are my predictions. Let me know how you feel. Leave in the comments. Let me a lot of y'all have been discussing a lot of stuff in the comments. Not a lot of stuff. Let me not say that. But a lot of you have been commenting on some of my videos and some of my takes, and I appreciate you guys' opinions. So let me know, bro. Let me know. And I appreciate y'all. That has been today's episode of the Unpopular Podcast. Again, I'm excited about the WNBA final or WNBA playoffs. They started on Thursday, but round 1 or round 2, whatever you want. Round 2 starts tomorrow. The first game, which is Seattle and Phoenix Mercury, they start at 3:00 on ABC, and the second game, which is the Minnesota Lynx and the Chicago Sky, that starts at 5:00 on ESPN2. I'm excited, of course. Weekend of football, college football is coming. The tables are starting to look like college football. It's very quick that you kind of who is who. It's bad. I think what Bryce Love is going to sit out or something like that. Oh no, CJ Stroud from Ohio State. I think he's going to sit out because they play like Akron or something. So, but college football, a weekend full of sports. I'm excited. But again, that has been today's episode of the Unpopular Podcast. If you want an Unpopular Podcast shirt, hoodie, sweater, long sleeve, joggers, the link is in the description below. I have multiple different designs, multiple different colors. Just click on the shirt or click on the item that you want. You can change the color. Hey, I got you. Go get your Unpopular Podcast merch today. Also, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers, so anything will help. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. And until next time, much love.